Now we all know that mac and cheese is the ultimate comfort food. So I thought I'd show you today how I make mine. So we're going to begin by preparing our cheeses, and we're just going to grate them on a box grater. Now this is 160 grams of a mature cheddar cheese, and this is going to add a lovely tanginess and richness to the recipe. And this one here is 200 grams of mozzarella cheese. This is a firmer mozzarella, often labelled as pizza mozzarella in the shop, and I prefer it for this recipe. But if you can only get hold of the fresh mozzarella, that's absolutely fine to use as well. This is going to add a lovely creaminess and also create that lovely stretchy cheese that everybody loves. So grate both cheeses using a box grater on the large side, and then we'll move on to making our sauce. Place a saucepan over a low heat and then add in 70 grams of butter. And because we're using 70 grams of butter, we'll also be using 70 grams of flour. Once the butter melts, we'll add in the flour and begin making our roux, which will be the base of our bechamel sauce that will then become our cheesy sauce. Once you've added in the flour, stir it through to make a roux and then cook it out for 2 to 3 minutes. Next, gradually add in 800 millilitres of milk, and now you need to do this really gradually. This is to prevent it from creating lumps in the sauce, and when you get about halfway through adding the liquid, you're generally pretty safe for the lumps and you can add in the rest. But make sure you keep stirring it throughout. Once all the milk is added, heat it until it just begins to bubble, but keep the heat on low. And it's important to keep stirring it at this point as well, because you don't want it to catch on the bottom. Next, add in all of the grated cheese and stir it through until it's completely melted. So as you can see, it's gone nice and cheesy and thick and gooey and delicious. So what we do now is we turn off the heat and we need to give it a little taste. Because bear in mind, I haven't added any seasoning in here yet, because I don't want to add in salt before the cheese, because the cheese is nice and salty anyway. So I need to taste it afterwards to decide how much salt I need to add. Now that is quite salty, so I'm just going to add the tiniest little pinch, because it's already got enough salt in there. And then a good grind of black pepper. That's optional, depends if you like black pepper or not. So mix it through. Give it another taste, check the seasoning. That tastes spot on, so I'm going to take it off the heat. We can now just leave this to one side while we cook the pasta. Now when you get used to it, you can do this and the pasta at the same time, but because it takes a little bit of attention to make this sauce and you need to keep your eye on it, I think it's best that I show making the sauce separate before cooking the pasta. And when we cook the pasta, I'm going to show you another little tasty bit that's going to go on the top of our mac and cheese when we put it in the oven. So just leave that to one side and we'll move on to the pasta. So I've got a pan of salted boiling water over on the heat, and for the pasta I am using this spiral pasta here instead of traditional macaroni pasta. It's absolutely fine to use the macaroni pasta, but I prefer to use this one for this recipe. You use whatever you've got to hand. We're just going to place the pasta into the boiling water and we're going to cook it just before al dente, so roughly around 7 to 8 minutes, and you can keep trying it just to get it to the right point. But bear in mind it's going to go in the oven later, so we don't want to cook it all the way through, because we want to allow a little bit of space for it to carry on cooking in the oven. And while the pasta's cooking, I'm going to show you how to make a delicious garlic and parmesan breadcrumb topping. Begin by placing 1 crushed clove of garlic into a mortar and pestle or a food processor, and then add in 5 grams of fresh parsley. You can leave the stalks on here as long as they're nice young stalks, they'll break down really well and add loads of flavour. Add in a small pinch of sea salt, and that's so there's something abrasive to break it down. Then grind the parsley, salt and garlic together until you've got a puree. Next, gradually add in 40 grams of panko breadcrumbs, and mix them through until they break down slightly and are well incorporated with the garlic and parsley. Then add in 5 grams of paprika and grate in 30 grams of Parmesan cheese. Mix it all together until it's well combined and place it into a bowl ready to use later. Once your pasta's cooked, drain it through a colander and then you want to add it into the cheesy sauce. Stir it through until it's completely coated. Now we're going to transfer the cheese sauce covered pasta into an oven proof dish or tray. And place it into a preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius for 30 to 40 minutes until it's golden, bubbly and crisp on top. It also might be worth placing your mac and cheese onto another tray just in case it bubbles over in the oven. Once it's ready, take it from the oven and it's ready to serve. Serve it as a side to another dish or just get a nice big bowl of mac and cheese and get stuck into that. In my opinion, there's nothing more comforting than that on a cold winter's day. So there it is, my delicious mac and cheese, and I cannot wait to dig in, so I'm just going to go straight in and try it. Tastes really good, really cheesy, tangy from that mature cheddar, nice and creamy from the mozzarella, and then this herby, garlicky, parmesan-y crumb on top just adds a lovely bit of flavour and crunch to the recipe. I hope you enjoy this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.